thank you too, Scott, Natasha. Thank you for being a part of this. I appreciate you guys coming on and kind of doing this interview with us here. You know, frontline workers, PTSD, it's a big thing, and you guys have supported it for many years. And without your guys' support, I don't know where this would be. I don't even know if our treatment would even be where it is without the support of what you guys have done. So just, I know that you guys don't work together in the same company, but you guys are married. Just give us a little back. I'll go first, Scott. Just give us everybody a little bit of a background.
Well, I'm general manager of Lakewood Chevrolet. Before that, Sherwood Park Chevrolet, and that's when we first started working together, obviously, on the first response to fashion. Been to Lakewood now for a couple of years. I'm, proud to say that I oversee about 125 employees. And I think we have a really good work culture and environment there that really allows people to thrive and enjoy what they do. So.
No, and I'll touch on that a little bit later. I really do. I know I've messages sometimes. Hey, what do you do with your guys to get them going?
Right.
So,
yeah.
We'll touch on that in a little bit. And Natasha, go ahead.
I'm a personal trainer and a holistic nutrition consultant. I've had my own business for about, I'd say maybe I've been doing this for about 12 years or so. I basically help women to feel their best, to get energy, to help them to lose weight. I specialize in gut health and hormone health, and just basically want to give people realistic ways to change their lifestyle and have fitness and nutrition fit into it instead of fad diets.
How long you guys been married for now?
21 years.
Yeah, that is crazy. Congratulations. That is a very long time. I want to touch on how you were first introduced to it, because I know there's a relationship with my wife, right? And I want to ask you, because you came, if I do recall correctly, you came the first year you came, Scott didn't come.
Correct.
Right. So why don't you explain that a little bit?
Okay.
The first time.
So one of my best friends is Elisa, which is Wilson's wife. And she would always tell me about these fashion shows and how her husband came up with this idea. And I just thought that it was such a great cause. And I honestly don't think there is enough awareness or help for people with PTSD. So I thought that combined with fashion, and I love fashion, would be a great event to attend. So I went with a friend of mine and we just had a great time.
No, that's good. That's good. And then you introduced us to Scott.
Yes. And then Scott came with me because I'd talk of all the good things about it. And he's like, yeah, I think I might want to come.
First time she talked about all the first responders as models, and she thought that was pretty cool. So I was like, well, I should probably go check this out and see if there's
just to make sure, right? Just to
Yeah.
make sure if it's all right.
Yeah.
When you came the next year, what did you think?
Yeah, I thought it was a great event. Obviously put together with Jerry's help over at Bavaria BMW, and facility was great. The event was great, and again, just the cause of which it's going towards. Like, again, I've always felt I get along pretty good with first responders as a general rule. Before I got into the car business, like I think I'm going 20 years ago, I was on a ride along with my friend Dan Thames, and that was the night before my interview at Team Ford. So it was either, I'm leaving the banking to go become a police officer like Dan, or I'm going to, go take a look at the car business. I mean, I went the car business route, but I've always thought that policing would be something that I'd probably be okay at.
It is funny talking to you, and we have great conversations about it. You have been a supporter for a very long time. You've supported our cause. Let me just touch on that. Let me just ask you, why do you support it so much?
I think obviously, again, as you know, we're very fortunate to be part of the Canada One Auto Group at Lakewood Chev, and so our owner, Pat Priestner, is very dedicated to giving back to the community with charitable donations and things of that nature. And he allows us as general managers to kind of determine where we want the funds to go. But again, one of his strongest desires is that we support things that have to do with mental health and promoting positive mental health. And so, of course, it just goes so hand in hand with what you were doing. It just made a lot of sense to kind of, go down that route. And the first year I was able to, use up my partner stores, and we were able to continue a very large donation and kind of go with that. But obviously, like I said, it's again, personal relationships with the people I have in the community. The more people you talk to, the more people you realize that are first responders. Again, like yourself, obviously a good friend of mine. Warren, our neighbor down the street, I obviously know quite well. So,
Yeah.
it's and it's just like, everybody you talk to, you're one or two steps away. Just like, I mean, we're in Edmonton. Edmonton's one of those communities where everybody knows everybody, but everybody seems to know somebody who's a first responder. And sometimes those people also have stories of somebody that had was a first responder that had potential issues with PTSD and how that's affected them and affected their lives. So.
Yeah. We're going to have to get Warren out. You're going to have to put in.
Yeah, honestly, I trust me. I mean, Warren's going to be coming one way or another. I'll be like, you're coming, right, Warren? Right? So
yeah,
absolutely.
it's interesting you say that, and I know I say it all the time. But when Jerry sold Bavaria, we really didn't have anywhere for a home to be because we just had it there, right?
Right.
And you, Natasha, like you guys really came through. Like it's rare that it happens, and it's interesting because, when you're in the sales business or whatever, or you're trying to promote something, you're always kind of like, hey, you throw as much as you can out there, right? You want people into that funnel, and then you get a sale out of 100 people. It's a numbers game.
Right.
But I remember I just mentioned it to you, and you just came through. And it's just, I know it seems like nothing, but for me, that really says something. It says something about the character of you when you ask somebody and that person, their word is oak. Like it just comes through. So everybody involved with it, we're extremely grateful for what you guys have done, right? To come through, you introduced Scott through Elisa, right? And then we just come full circle. Now let me just ask you about the show. So you guys were there when we switched over to your partner company there, Sherwood Motorcars, which has got some amazing cars. All right. You probably need one.
Yeah, sure. Not really.
With the dogs in, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's a really good family.
But each of you, tell me your experience with the show.
Well, I think it's a lot of fun. I feel like it's got a mixture of an emotional part where you hear the first responders talk about their experiences and things that have happened to them and why they have PTSD. And then you have the fun part of the fashion show and the auctions, which are really fun. So I really like that.
Okay.
There's just a lot of different emotions that you feel when you go to that show.
Let me just ask you this, because your background, a lot of holistic stuff, you're into that. You seeing it and hearing both sides, right? We try to make it fun, but there's a serious side to it too. What kind of stands out for you on that end? What kind of environment? What does it thrive? What do you take from it?
Yeah, just lots.
Sorry, that wasn't in the question.
No, that's okay. Well, just for the the folks that have the PTSD, just knowing that they have support, that is very important. Like being surrounded by people that want to help you. Because lots of times I'm sure people with PTSD feel like they're alone. Like nobody else understands them. They're going through it by themselves. So just having people around to show support, I think, is really important.
No, good. Scott, your first
Yeah, I thought probably for me it was that, just hearing the stories of some of the first responders that have gone through some experiences. Again, like, everybody has this impression of the stoic firefighter or police officer, whatever the case is, that's, beyond human. And at the end of the day, we're all human beings. And, when we're experiencing very traumatic events or, occurrences that happen throughout, their line of duty and things of that nature, it's got to be tough on them. I could only imagine, what that would be like. But I remember mentioning, that police officer that was going through his troubles down in Calgary. That was the first show I was at, and it was really touching. You know what I mean? And then you think this is just one guy telling his story. I'm willing to bet for the one guy that tells the story, there's probably like dozens more that have stories or that aren't maybe addressing that PTSD, that those traumas as maybe they should. And I think through things like what you're doing and what the fashion show brings to the forefront, I'm really hoping that it's one of those things that people are going to be more brave to come forward, because it's like hiding it and, like Natasha's saying, like trying to go through this struggle on your own, I don't think has very positive results. And long term, I think people suffer for a lot longer than they need to. So, yeah.
You bring up some really good points there, because it is. So that gentleman from Calgary, he went through kind of the old way, so of the therapy for PTSD. and he might see this at some point in time, but I don't know how successful it was for him. Like, I think success rate in general of the old therapies, what they use for PTSD, is usually 20-30% success rate, right? It's not good. And then you compile on other things, like the insurance that they put through, WCB, all those health claims. It's a difficult process, and it doesn't serve them well. Like, it really. So we're happy because we did our clinical studies just this past year, and very, very high success. We're talking, like out of 30 people that they did the clinical studies on, 29 had a successful outcome. And that 30th person withdrew because of family reasons, right? So once we get that out there, I think the funds that you guys have put forward, and you can tell this to your partners, I think is extremely well spent. Why don't we say that, right? Like, it's we wouldn't be here without that. And from the U of A side of things, like HiMARC, it wouldn't have happened. Right? Like, we have a lot of people to be thankful for starting it off. Obviously, Jerry's one of them, Bavaria, BMW, to get that started, but it still wouldn't be that way without what you guys have done, right? And I think it's important, like I'll get off topic again a little bit, but you are in an industry where I've been through your shop, I've been through your stores, and it's mostly male.
Yeah, it is a male dominated industry, no question. Yeah.
So I don't know how it is there, but for us, the first responders, it's about a 70-30 split, right? The heavy side is firemen. They are something like 85-15% men versus women. Police is about 70-30, maybe even, and then paramedics is where it evens out on the other end, where there's a lot more females. But we have noticed in those numbers that there's a lot more males that are taking their lives from PTSD, other mental illnesses, stuff like that, right? And it obviously is a concern, and we talk about it all the time. And this is where I'll kind of touch on, you seem to keep your guys motivated at the top of their game all the time. I know they look to you. There's a few of them that are like, I'm little Scott, right? Like, I'm little Frost. And I'm just like, man, that's pretty impressive that these grown adults are saying, hey, you know what? Scott's doing something for me that shows him in the right direction, right? And keeps him out of trouble. And we're trying to do something like this with first responsive fashion, with the PTSD research and stuff like that. Touch on that a little bit. How do you keep your guys's?
We spend a lot. It's just more of a cultural thing within our group of stores. We really focus on the individuals and the people. We are in a business that's there to make profit and sell cars. That's the reality of all business.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is I've learned this from my mentor, Eric O'Sullivan, is that you look after the people and the business will look after itself. And that's Disney adopts that as their basis of where they get such great customer service experiences, is that happy employees are going to provide a happy experience to their customers. And we really just try to focus on, for me, I try to focus on making better young men. There's a lot of young men that we run into that maybe didn't have the best of upbringings, and we're in a situation where we can change some lives and positively impact people. And so I feel like I've been very fortunate to have some really great role models in my life that have allowed me to grow to be who I am. And I'm pretty happy with where Natasha and I are in a relationship and in life. And I want that for these young men too. And the nice thing about the car business, it doesn't matter if you have a university degree or you didn't graduate high school. We're on an equal playing field. It's an industry that allows people to get exactly out of it what they put in. And so that's a very unique opportunity for people. And so we really embrace that to really try to change some young men's lives and make them better people. I focus on, for myself, not how to sell cars, because I got an amazing team of young men that do a way better job than I could have at. I focus on helping them win at home. Like, if I can help them be a better husband, a better father, a good partner, intrinsically that will translate over to business. And a lot of times when they focus on goal setting with their spouses, which a lot of people don't actually do, but if you focus on the goal setting with your spouse, there's a realization that success in the workplace will translate over to my success at home. My success at home translates back to my success in the workplace. So it's kind of a symbiotic relationship, which a lot of bosses, and again in my experience in the industry, people wish to don't acknowledge. You got to sacrifice your family, you got to put in more time, you got to do this and that. And I firmly believe that you have to be in the moment and be present at work, and you have to be in the moment and be present at home. And I think that was a struggle for us too, getting into the industry at first. I don't think it was easy, but I think in order for me to continue on in the industry, it was something that we had to agree on, that when I'm at home, the phone is put away. Like that's my boundary, and then I don't to this day. And I think that's one of the healthiest things that really helped our relationship, is that I'm not tied to my phone. So it's a positive thing that way.
No, you know what? It's interesting. We've had a lot of conversations about that, and you do take care of your people, but I think you do something where it's a very good balance between taking care of your people and still achieving those goals, right? Because I will say in my area, right, the government area, they always want to take care of the people, but it's so big. HR's this, and then your management's this, and it's completely separate, right? And so what happens is, hey, you have to. HR comes in and says you have to take care of your people, but not knowing the whole situation, right? And then they say they can come in and they say he gets this much time off, or he gets this much, not knowing that, well, you just can't. Yeah, you can give them all the time off in the world, but if the situation, it doesn't solve anything, right? And so it's really interesting how you really find that balance. And I know I've called you a couple times. I'm like, how do you get your guys going? Like, it's something special that you do, because you're just like, how to walk that line. You know how to talk to men, and then you bring in the guys that will perform best for that scenario. So it's a little bit more, it is the culture, but it's also you find the right people.
Yeah, you got to be strategic, and obviously, where you place people and where people operate within your industry. But again, it really is getting into the emotional connection with your people. And some people are like, work's work, home's home, like my boss isn't my friend type of thing. I think I have some employees that would say that I've been a big supporter of things they've done, help them out. I helped out, a few through some tough times in their lives. And when I think in certain industries, whether it be policing, whether it be car business, whether it be anything in life, as a boss or a mentor, sometimes people are afraid to get emotionally invested with subordinates, right? Because they might mar the lines of professional and personal. When I do that, I make sure they say, this is a personal conversation. This is a professional conversation. I had the opportunity yesterday that, I was talking with one of my young guys that have a very good personal relationship with, but we were having a very, intense conversation. It was, again, and we reiterated, nothing personal. He said, absolutely not. This is a business conversation. So it's good to see that that's reciprocating with the people that I'm putting into. They could separate the two. But I think that's where a lot of people fall off. I think people are afraid to get involved with their people because sometimes they don't know what to do. I've been in situations where I've had employees who have questioned whether they want to, take their own lives and spend time with them and talking them through this. I've been out with employees with addiction issues, all sorts of things like that. And at first, I'm not going to lie, like I was scared to, cross that bridge to get involved with that, because then, you're responsible to deal with it. But once you understand that sometimes people just need a place to talk and you need to point them in the right direction, get them the help they need, there's resources out there. You just have to take the time to try to find them and help people. And when you do that, I think it's a lot more rewarding than selling a car and making money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Again, it's the byproduct of changing somebody's life in a positive way. And, that's what things I've talked to you about too, is that I feel that there's a similar type of situation that can happen in the first response, organizations, if you will, where taking a more of a personal interest in the people that are, that you're working with will really, form a better relationship. And I'm sure, two partners working together, for example, for a, 6-month stint, they probably got an amazing relationship, right? But is their relationship as strong with their sergeant? Is the sergeant's relationship as strong with their superior, where it's like, I'm not just bought into, being a police officer, but I'm bought into the organization. You know what I mean? And what that organization represents and how we can work together to be a positive influence on the community. right? So, and I think that, again, if you have a, again, police officer who's doing the job for the sake of a paycheck versus a police officer who's inspired because they're, surrounded by a great group of people in their squad that really have a strong commitment to the community, I think they operate differently. I think they go to work differently. I think they approach the civilians differently. And I think that they just, maybe have a, overall better outlook on their career.
No, and you're right. Like, I'm glad we're recording this because I think it's an important fact. And I think the organization is so big. A lot of these organizations, fire department, paramedics,
you name it. Yep.
They've lost track of that.
Right.
We get all this money into the budget, they throw money on it, but it really doesn't solve the issue, right? And so a lot of those comments I 100% agree with. Yeah. I'll come back to this. I want to talk to you about that kid. Now, he said all this stuff about your marriage.
I might not have such
no,
elaborate things to say.
You can give your side of it. Obviously, he was saying, your home life. He set some boundaries. Cell phones go away. On your side, you guys been married 21 years, right? Like that's a quarter of a century almost, right? Like your guys are getting up there.
Yeah.
Been together for 25.
Getting up there.
There you go. Okay, you've been together for a quarter of a century.
Yep.
So, on that side of stuff, does it work from your perspective? How does it work with the kids, the dogs, the whole family life?
Well, we've always prioritized being together. We love our kids, and they definitely are number one, but we're number one too. And so that is a huge thing. We always make sure that we are doing things together on the weekends. We spend lots of time together. We just like to be together. I don't even know if I'd say there's something in specific other than we're kind of the same that way. We do take vacations together without the kids, which sometimes couples don't do. And I feel like that has been something that's been really good for us too. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No.
I don't know if there's a secret here, to be honest. No secret, maybe it's just our personalities together. We prioritize time together. Yeah.
And from kind of like a calmness or a mental health type of aspect, what people watching this and listening to this from your perspective as things, how does that help when you say we set aside time from the people that, let's say, don't have that time? Like, for example, a lot of people in the first responder world, they're together in a relationship, nurses or police officers, firemen, paramedics. Once they start having kids, it becomes, well, I'll take this shift for these 4 days. I'll take care of the kids. Then the next 4 days, you can take the 4 kids, and then they never see each other, right? So you being in the situation where Scott, busy man, you're a busy woman, right? Both have your own independent businesses. That decision to delegate exact amount of time, how does that help?
No, it's a really good question. I think it's an excellent question. I think, to be honest, it's got to the point now where we're flexible with our schedule, so we're a little bit easier. Again, you have a first responder, say, 2 police officers that are married, or a firefighter. You know what I mean? Like, that would be a difficult situation. But listen, man, put away the bloody phone.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'll be honest. I mean, the phone robs us. We're so fortunate to have not grown up with it.
Yeah.
So it's not part of us necessarily, as opposed to, say, somebody who's in their 20s for sure, somebody who's in their 30s, who maybe is more dependent on this social media. I don't think I'm better than anyone, but I don't have any social media. I have LinkedIn, and if there's anything that's not professionally related or whatever, I just choose not to follow that person. It's not what I'm there to look for. And the socialization I have, I choose to keep my circles tight and have meaningful relationships. And one of the biggest things is being present. Like, for us, it's when I'm home, whether it be for an hour or she has an hour, we get to have dinner together. I'm eating dinner and Natasha's sitting with me when we're talking. Even just spending time at nighttime in bed, just talking in bed. She's got clients till 8:00. We're going to bed shortly thereafter. Just making sure that whatever time we have, that we're present. And you can't be present when you're on your stupid phone, looking at Instagram or whatever you're looking at, right? There's no way. You're basically telling the person sitting right next to you that you're not as important as this person on the other side of the world that provides no real value to my life.
Yes. And it's true, right? And we grew up in the same generation, right? Yeah. And yes, I do the Instagram stuff for our show and all this stuff, right?
I have social media.
Yes.
It has a time and a place, and I would say that's part of it. But then you have to really be cognizant if you're utilizing for professional use, that's now part of your workday.
Yeah.
And I have given, I'll be honest, I have given Natasha a hard time about sometimes
I'm not
using,
as good with the boundaries with
yeah,
work.
with work. She does.
But
She
when
allows,
you're your own
yeah,
business and you're the only one working,
Yes.
you kind of just do.
yeah.
It is
And so I
hard.
feel like I
Yeah.
need boundaries with that.
And on the flip side, I am not good with the social media because I grew up in that gen where we didn't have it. You know, genuine conversations, genuine interactions face to face were the big things, right? I really believe my best skill is just talking to people, right? Like in today's age, I don't think I'd ever met like Elisa. There's no way, right? Like I wouldn't know how to do online dating at all because my best attribute is talking, right? And so I'm not good with it. And I actually find that I struggle with those types of things, and I don't find it genuine. That might not be a good word, but I'm just like,
No, I think you're bang on. I think that there's a certain amount, as long as there's a cloak there, what's really behind it, you can't say with absolute certainty, right? When you're having a conversation and having human contact, there's no hiding, right? You know what I mean? And I think people nowadays are afraid of that. People are becoming more, stay-at-home bodies or like, introverts where they're, they don't have to go out to socialize. They don't have to leave their home to meet somebody. You know what I mean? And then so it's a very transactional relationship.
yes.
You know what I mean? There's no real substance to it.
Yeah.
So, and that's an unfortunate situation. I think that's also, unfortunately, how a lot of marriages are. I don't think they're not real because it was built on a transactional situation that became a transactional relationship without, again, the real development of.
That's a good way to put it.
It's kind of how I feel. But again, like I said, maybe I'm a little old school. But when I see these countries outlawing whatever Instagram for under 16s, I think that's the greatest thing in the world.
You know what? I agree with you, right? Like I think it's important too because I think, and I'll just say from what I see, no scientific, I haven't done any studies on it, but I take a look at people in front lines and a lot of people, volunteers that come volunteer for the show. We talk with interview a lot of them. And it is a struggle because a lot of them hide what they do, right? A lot of police officers don't want to put on social media that they're a police officer. A lot of firemen don't, a lot of paramedics don't, right? Sometimes they do, they get involved in groups, but they keep it hidden. So then a lot of them feel like they gotta hide a portion of them, right? It's not allowed. And then they start to compartmentalize. Then they don't know how to express themselves because in today's world, everything is over the phone. People suffer on the phone by themselves telling the world, I lost somebody. It's so strange. They'll express to a phone all the emotions, but they won't tell anybody else. Like it's wild to me, right? Like it is wild. So I can see why the need for it is so important, right? And I know you guys and your organization, even when we went to your other mental health awareness thing that your company, right? I will say this. You guys don't get enough thanks for what you guys do, right? You guys are behind the scenes. And this is why I wanted to do some of this stuff. Because honestly, it wouldn't be possible without you guys. Like all the success, and I truly believe, now I'm biased, I truly believe what HiMARC and University of Alberta, what they're doing right now is the key. Like it is the key, right? But they see, they see the university doing it, they see HiMARC doing it, they see, me and my team doing a lot of it. So they say, hey, you guys, but honestly, it wouldn't happen without. So I want to make sure that you guys understand that you guys receive that thanks, because that money, it just doesn't grow on trees, right? And you guys are invested. Like that's the crazy thing about it. You guys are invested. There's a lot of companies out here that they just throw money because they got to fill in that budget. But you guys truly do. Right. So let me get back to it a little bit with the show. We're back at the show. You guys are seeing these things. You guys are seeing the stories. You see these first responders that walk down walk down the aisle. I know you've gone to fashion shows, so maybe I'll ask you. What did you think of these frontline workers going?
I thought that was awesome. Some of them were having too much fun.
Yeah, behind the scenes.
Yeah, so that's the best part, that they can come out and have a really good time with it, and like just kind of
Interesting.
get into the role of being in that compared to their serious job.
Yes, and then that's one of the things you want to be able to interact. What about the clothing?
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, I love that. Always good ideas. Actually, I bought a skirt from, I don't know if it was the last one or the one before.
Okay, there you go, right?
Yeah, this one's somewhere in Camrose.
Oh yes. Okay, we did have shoot, I forgot their name. But yes, you know what? Like it's nice to have them. I know early on there was a couple companies that we dealt with. This is the Bavaria. And when we sent them, the first responders, to the companies, they were very upset because the first responders don't have bodies like models.
Yeah, of course.
Right?
Yeah.
And so they're just like, no, we can't put this on you. Well, Scott, what about you? Seeing everybody out there?
Yeah, I think it's cool. I think, again, like you said, it's that, people can be themselves. At the end of the day, I think that a lot of people, you yourself said it, there's the duality that of the being a first responder and then being just a regular person. And I think that, that's unfortunate in my opinion, that people need to feel that way and are, but I think it's nice to see that they actually get to go and be themselves, have some fun and enjoy themselves.
What do you guys see in the future of this? Like, how do you want it to grow? I know you're a big supporter. Your whole company is a big supporter of mental health.
Yeah.
Right. What is kind of this year? Why don't we start with instead of the future? Why don't we start with it? What are you guys expecting to see? What would you like to see?
Yeah, I honestly would like to see more discussion around dealing with PTSD before it becomes a problem within the, say, for example, the first responder, like within the paramedics, organization, within EPS, within the Edmonton Fire Department. Opening up conversation so that, again, you made the comment that there's more males that are taking their lives than females. We're talking industries where, or careers that are, I'd consider you're a tough guy if you're a cop. You're obviously a big tough guy if you're a firefighter. You know what I mean? And for this big tough guy to admit that, showing up to this crash scene and watching a child pass away in front of them is a problem. That's the problem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'd really like to see that, we can, of course, HiMARC has their place. There's always going to be people that see these things that can't, that need the rehabilitation and the help that they deserve. But, getting a culture in organizations, and I've talked about this before with, like, say, the police services, where people coming forward with admitting, hey, I have, trauma in my life, this is affecting me. Instead of them being maybe ostracized, them being lifted up and being, okay, like, let's help this person. This is a reality that we're dealing with. We need to acknowledge it. We need to, handle it. We need to move forward. I mean, again, I don't know how they dealt with it in the past, but, coping mechanisms when an issue isn't dealt with are usually, they could be drugs, alcohol, a combination thereof, nothing positive. You know what I mean? I don't think there's a lot of good things that come from that. And so I think that, in order for, like, organizations like this to continue in the future to be a positive organization, which I really hope that the leadership, like Warren is focused on, is like, the perception that people have of the police. Well, yeah, if you're interacting with the same people, but I think the general public loves police. Like, what I mean? When you go to these events where, we're with great people that are part of the community that, are sick and tired of the fact that, our son can't go to university next year and take the LRT because we're concerned about his safety on the LRT. You know what I mean? Like, of course, like, the people that are worried about those things love the police, love the the firefighters, love the paramedics when they're there for them, right? They're not happy when a paramedic takes an hour because they're dealing with somebody's third overdose of the night. Like, I'll just be honest. Like, that's you know what I mean? Like, it's like, what I mean? And I don't think that's the paramedics' idea of what they signed up for this career either.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Was to be doing that. So, there's a lot of different, dynamics to where this could or couldn't go. But I guess just for me personally, I'd like it to be more of just, trauma being part of the conversation. You know what I mean? And, not that it's an excuse base for not doing your job, but how can somebody function properly and effectively and, if they're dealing with something like that? Yeah.
No, and I agree with you. And you can even mention this. I find girls way better at communicating. Like, they're with their emotions anyways. right? Like I find that guys, I've been around long enough that I know the old days of how we used to do things was really different. Like at work, after the shift was done, terrible things happen. Out pops the the rum. Hey, let's just, yeah, that was a crappy day. Like let's drink this away, right? And you tell your stories, you joke around a little bit, but it's different. You know, I see sometimes like you and Elisa talk. I see how Elisa talks with her friends. It's different. Guys don't have that same relationship, or maybe times have changed a little bit that we don't have that access to do that anymore. I don't really 100% know, but I do find, and I don't know if you have friends that are first responders or frontline workers, but I do notice that women just talk about things, or a lot more willing to do things. Even like the fashion show itself, we always have double the amount of women volunteering or asking to be a part of it than we do guys. Obviously, again, it's firemen, right? Like they love to be in front of the camera, but it's difficult, right? And then the guys don't really, and when they do come out, they usually say something to the effect, "Yeah, my wife forced me to be a part of this." Right? So something to that effect. Natasha, you have anything to add?
Just like as far as like maybe what to see, not necessarily in the fashion show, but I have a lot of clients that work as a first responder or some way, shape, and form in the type of business, and they say they never hear about the show. Yeah. So I would like to see more invites maybe to the first responders so that they can go there and learn about what's happening.
It is, right, and you know, I'll take the blame for that, right? We're trying to get as much money to the cause than anything else, and so it's a difficult line because you don't want to waste that money either, right? You're just like, hey, how much money should we spend on advertising when, yes, it could get it out there, but then you're kind of like, but that takes away from the money that we're actually using towards the cause, right? So I'll take the blunt for that. They're probably not hearing it because I'm not doing my job well enough.
No. Hey, you've got the page on Instagram. You've got social media.
Yeah, right. So we're trying. We'll I've probably taken way too much of your guys' time. So I'll end it off on kind of just a last thing. You guys have seen it. You guys know what it's about. Where would you like it to go? Where would you like to see and be in the future? I know this is an off the top.
Good question.
Right? It is. You guys have seen it for the few years. You guys will be there this year, right?
I mean,
Scott will
maybe
say a few things.
Yeah.
Take it to Italy. Let's go on a trip.
Next year, like I think we'll change locations over the new Lakewood Chev building.
Oh yes.
So we'll do that.
Yeah, if you're open to that, I'm more than happy to do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Keep it local.
That's awesome. Yes.
Yeah. I'm not sure where the future may hold of it, where the case may be. I've never been the most creative guy, just practical, but yeah.
I guess something to think about anyways. I like it the way it is, to be honest with you. Yeah. You've got food, you have like models, you have prizes, conversations. Like, it's good.
Yeah.
Okay. No? All right, we'll end it right there. Thank you. I just want to say to everybody, thank you guys for coming out. I want everybody to click on this video, watch it. It's just an upfront conversation with the two of you about real topics, real first responders, real people supporting post-traumatic stress disorder. So thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
Okay.